So, welcome back to Happy Hour with Heather and Guest, episode number 56. I think this is the second of the new year.
Yeah.
And if you are a fan of the show and you're into Easter eggs and stuff like that, you'll probably notice that the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly poster is missing from behind me. That's because I am currently back in school doing virtual class, and I think I want to try to be a little bit more professional. So I've taken down temporarily the poster, but it will not affect us today. So, and of course, Heather's collage of wonderful visuals are always behind her, and
Yes.
she's rocking her Clutch sweatshirt
Yes.
as I'm wearing my Earthless hoodie.
Nice.
Cool. So today was my turn to suggest the band, and I went with Goatess, Glowsun, and Radio FM. So Goatess, I know, is from Sweden. Let me just pull up their. Yeah, so there's a great website called Metal Archives. I think it's Encyclopedia Metallum, but if you put in www.metalarchives.com, it'll take you to a phenomenal database that has information on most heavy metal bands in existence, even bands that are no longer playing or split. So I went there and looked up Purple Hill Witch. Oh, hold on. Sorry, my mother's calling. I'm going to decline it. There we go. Okay. The magic of television. And I'm going to put on my, here we go, the focus, so that won't happen again. Okay. So Purple Hill Witch. They have, like, if you're a fan of a band, they'll give you similar artists you can look into. So I looked up who would be a similar artist to Purple Hill Witch, and Goatess was one of the bands that they suggested. So that's how I discovered. So I just know that they're from Sweden, and then looking them up, I saw that originally the lead singer is this guy Christian Linderson, who is also in the band Lord Vicar and had been in the band Count Raven. So and had was the lead singer of one of the Saint Vitus albums. So already I had assumed the band was just like, oh, these are new people who I'm going to discover, but they had a pedigree already. So apparently, I guess Goatess is a big, or had been capable musicians already. They just hadn't emerged onto the scene as I had assumed they had. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So Goatess, I just wanted to get that brief introduction out there. Thank you for letting me ramble. We had 3 albums from Goatess. The first one is just the self-titled Goatess, and then Purgatory Under New Management, and then the final one is Blood and Wine. So you had selected the track to begin, Know Your Animal, off of Goatess. What did you think of that?
Yeah, and this whole album is so good, and I had a really hard time choosing songs because they're all phenomenal. This one just gets heavier and heavier. This is like traditional doom, but with their own spin on it. There's nothing like Swedish Doom. I know we've said that before, but there's nothing like Swedish Doom. And the fact that this came out in 2014 is astonishing. I would put this up with any modern Doom album, and it holds up.
Yeah, I mean, you and I, before we recorded, when you were saying that you were in the process of selecting the songs, and I had mentioned that when I first listened to the band, I was like, okay, the first track is a banger, and the second track's a banger, and the third track's a banger. fourth track. And then I was like, Heather might have some difficulty weeding down these songs to just a couple, because they're, like you mentioned, they're all bangers. Um, for Know Your Animal, it's a sick riff, and I thought of The Simpsons when Milhouse says everything is coming up Milhouse at when he gets really, when his flood pants keep his feet wet, but his ankles are bone dry. And I was like, oh yeah, everything's coming up Milhouse. And then the chorus, I thought, okay, if I was going to give somebody a template for Doom and be like, this is how you craft a Doom song, I might include this song as like part of the formula, because I felt like they captured the essence of Doom in the chorus.
Yeah.
And then next up was Alpha Omega.
Yeah, and what I like about this song is you can really hear the individual instruments. And I like how it starts out kind of bluesy. And I really like the guitar melody. There's incredible riffing. I feel like the singer could sing anything and the musicians could play absolutely anything. But they were meant to come together to play this.
Wow. Well said. Yeah, I this was a slow and low. Like the Beastie Boys once said, slow and low, that is the tempo. I got the image, this was like a marble going down a circular chute and just letting gravity kind of dictate. There was that like heavy. And then I also noticed the bluesy type of vocal delivery, which I thought was really cool. And then I felt like if I was trapped in a labyrinth, this is the song that would be playing at the tour. Like that's like there's kind of a haunting quality to it, where like you're gonna go around the corner and something will be lurking.
Yeah.
But yeah, really, like not frightening by any stretch, but just sort of like atmospheric. So, two great tracks off the self-titled album, and then finally we have Full Moon at Noon.
Yeah. Yeah, at the beginning. It's like, all right, let's go. This song has such a great groove. It has an amazing trippy psychedelic part too, which I really enjoyed. Then at the end, it's heavy doom. It doesn't sound like these things would work together and make sense, but they do. They make it, they put it together so well that it does go together and it does make sense. There's probably 50 band names with the name Goat in it, but I think this is the goat of the goat bands.
Nice. Yeah, this was it picks up the tempo at the beginning, and then it does, like the best word I could think of is just it dissolves into a psychedelic spacey jam that retains the skeleton of the previous part of the song, but it's like all the meat is gone from the bones, but it's the same song, but now it's like you brought up, it on paper it doesn't look like it would work combining these different elements of different genres, but they make it work. And then you find yourself floating through the stratosphere while this jam is playing. It reminded me a bit of the guitar tone from the band from the Netherlands, The Machine, with that sort of like psychedelic kind of spacey sound. But yeah, I mean, just one thing I noticed is this band seems to combine like blues and doom in a way that I hadn't really heard often. And sometimes they would do like doom into psychedelics, which I also was rare for me to hear. So, but they make it work really well. So that was the first album, the self-titled Goatess, and then the second album, Purgatory Under New Management.
Yeah, this is such an awesome name for an album and song. This is the album that I was familiar with. I'm pretty sure I saw it on someone's end of year list, and rightfully so, because this album just it completely kicks ass. I think it's one of the best out there. This song has incredible atmosphere. This is the type of song that can cut through right to your soul. And the singer, it feels like, is like the singer singing directly to me, because that's how it feels. It's an incredible song on an incredible album.
Yeah, so the album is called Purgatory Under New Management, and the track is also Purgatory Under New Management, which I like to do if I recognize that an album has the title track. I will usually pick that. But I just wrote one. I wrote the word doom, and then I wrote with what sounds like a sample by like Anthony Hopkins is, but it sounds like he's the sample that they've selected. Um, and then I wrote just slow doom, just the way mother always made. You know, you hear people talk about food like, oh, it's the way mom used to make it. Um, and then I wrote, if you were looking for a C example in a dictionary of doom, this would be one of the photos. So very, very similar interpretation, I feel, of yours. Like this is it.
Yeah.
This is. And then next up, following with other cool titles, we have Crocodilians and Other Creepy Crawling.
Yeah. And there's a shh at the end of it.
Yes.
This song, yeah, I love this song title too. It's got to be one of the best song titles out there. And this song is instrumental, except for that there's some spoken word at the beginning. Other than that, it's instrumental. And it does sound creepy at the beginning with all the different sounds that they use. It does sound pretty creepy. And then it gets into a repetitive doom riff for the rest of the song, which to me is what doom is all about, that low tone and that repetition.
Yeah, this I guess my notes may have auto-corrected, so it just has crocodilians and other creepy crawling. But yes, it does have an ending. I wrote another doom, just one word doom, with some swamp elements, and that's part of the sounds they have in the beginning make you feel like you're in the swamp. Um, it reminded me of being in New Orleans, and I wrote just a killer jam, probably my favorite of the songs we've listened to so far. A solid riff with all pistons firing at once, no lyrics, and manages to be psychedelic while still being doom, which again sort of blew my mind because it's rare that I've heard that combination of elements. And then we had one more track off of Purgatory Under New MOA.
Yes, the tone here is killer. There's a lyric in the bumpin' and the grind. I won't leave you behind. It ain't me. You gotta believe me, baby. Magic it would seem. Things you would not believe. I'm a wizard. Got tricks up my sleeve. Got them tricks up my sleeve. I just think that rules. And then later in the song, he sings, now, if you were to let me in, both of us would win, you know. See, it's a song about winning.
Yeah. Yes. And for those of you who aren't familiar, if you look at the insignia for our show, MVP, it's about winning at life. So it fits
Yeah.
right in with our mantra.
Yes.
But yeah, good moaning. I wrote another solid build of frightening thump into some complex drumming. More bluesy vocals mired in doom, but it's like the doom without the guitars at the beginning. It's like it lets the other instruments sort of drive the doom. So you've got like bass and drums, and then the riff kicks in. But it was really cool how they sort of they began the song with instruments you don't real. I mean, sometimes Doom songs begin with bass, but the way that this was constructed was an original sort of way that I hadn't heard, like letting drums build the beginning of the song into bass and then guitar. Um, it's rare for Doom, at least. It's rare that I've heard that introduction. Some of you out there are probably twiddling your mustaches, going, "Well, you're completely an idiot because this song and this song and this song." But um, and yeah, another excellent job of Doom and blues, which I'll call Bloom or Dews, Bloom or Dews, whatever. But either way, and that'll do it for Purgatory under new management. Then we go to Blood and Wine, and this is where they bring in a new singer. So Christian Linderson is no longer with the group, and for Blood and Wine, they have a new vocalist whose name I believe is Carl. It's Buhre. So I'm going to say Burr, Carl Burr or Buer. I could be completely wrong, so I'll just call him Carl. But either way, Blood and Wine, new vocalist. First track off of Blood and Wine is Dark Days.
Yeah, and it did take me a little bit to get used to the new singer. That always brings a different sound to the music. This starts out with a great bass line. I like the lyric, "Dark days are over now that you're in my life, you make the sun rise." And then there's another really cool bass line, and he says, "Go!" And then the guitar just goes off. It kind of reminds me like in the 80s when they used to do that, you know.
Sure.
Go! And then the guitar, you know, then there's the guitar solo. But I just thought it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, this one, I can't. I think before I listened to it, I wanted to see because I had looked up that Christian Linderson wasn't going to be with them for all the albums. So I can't remember if I'd looked up to see that they had a new singer on this one or not. But this one also starts with some subtle drumming that are just like rim shots and bass guitar. And then I wrote, it was like some wah wah, like a stranger ambling into town, and you know there's going to be a showdown. Like that's the, sort of like the guitar in Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Um, and I loved. I thought it's a different singer than the previous one, but he's got another powerful delivery that I thought fits the band really well. And then this was another sort of Doom with a bluesy feel. So they've retained everything that made the band really good, and probably added some really new cool things too. And then yeah, it becomes an up tempo riff jam with Go. Cool. And then after Dark Days, we've got Jupiter Rising.
Yeah, and I really like the opening guitar riff, and this song has some really awesome stops and starts, which I always like to point out because they're my absolute favorite. I also like songs about stars and space. The song isn't quite as heavy as the other songs on the album. It's gentler and more atmospheric. It's still heavy, but it's not quite as heavy.
Yeah, for this one, I wrote the riff is incendiary, like an Almost Famous when William Miller tells Stillwater and the guitarist Russell when he's befriending the band at the beginning. He goes, and Russell, the guitar tone is incendiary. Incendiary. So that's what I thought when I heard. If I met the guitarist of Goatess, I would say, dude, the tone on Jupiter Rising, it's incendiary. And then I would walk away, and hopefully they'd call me back and be like, dude, come on, hang out. And then it dissolves into a melodic, subtle jam with more psychedelic tones. And I felt it followed the sort of loud, quiet, loud format, which is very cool. again, they're making great doom here, and other combinations.
Yeah.
And then the final track, Blood and Wine, off the album Blood and Wine.
Yeah. And I like how the title track is the last song on the album. It's a long song too. It's 14 minutes. And like you said last week, I always like to include the title songs. And it just seems like, they're important. I thought the end of the song was absolutely amazing, and the drum sequence over and over, and then the guitar. It starts out really powerful, and then it gets softer and softer and softer, and then just fades out at the end.
Yeah, I for this one I didn't write much. I just said another favorite track, Doom with a cool effect. I'm not sure what the effect I was referring to is, but I wrote it's melodic Doom. I felt like a lot of times with Doom, they don't pay as much attention to the melody, but I really enjoyed the melody of this one. Um, so yeah, I mean, even though it was my selection for the band, I don't want to pat myself on the back, but I will have Goatess on my playlist.
Yeah.
And you selected some great tracks for us to listen to. Um, Next up, we've got Glowsun from France. Unless you want to do Rodeo FM from Berlin,
Um,
we can do Berlin or France.
it, it it's this is your episode, so I'm gonna let you choose.
Okay, let's do Glowsun from France
Okay.
and Rodeo FM from Germany. I should say, not from well, I mean they are from Berlin, but if I'm talking countries, so okay, so Glowsun from France, and this is the first time I selected the album Beyond the Wall of Time to listen to, and you listened to a different album whose title is escaping me.
I listened to Eternal Season,
Okay.
and that one's from 2012.
Yes, and I think Beyond the Wall of Time is after that. I don't remember when it was released, but why don't you start? Tell me about your experience with Glowsun.
Okay, so this is a very expansive album. It's mostly instrumental. There is some singing, but it's very minimal. It seems like the vocals are used as an added effect, not necessarily as a structured song with verses and choruses. There's some great heavy psych bands that are out of France. When I saw this band was from France, that made total sense to me. It seems like psych doom would be a good description. There's some really great atmospheric parts and also some drums and guitars. I felt my mind wandering listening to this, and then it would pull me back in, and then my mind would wander again. So I would say if you can listen to this in a place where you can just let that happen, and it will just kind of take you away. It's that kind of music that will do that.
Cool. Yeah, there are some bands I feel like are the sonic equivalent to taking hallucinogens. Not that I've ever taken any, but I sometimes the music can do that. It can transport you to a different place. So take Heather's advice. Find a quiet, safe space where you can just put on some Glowsun and blast off. Um, Beyond the Wall of Time, I got a similar impression that you did. When a couple of weeks ago, I posted something on social media about Doom in general. I think it was Doctor Doom from the comic books playing a metal guitar, and I suggested a few Doom bands people should listen to. So someone, I think the last name is pronounced Ide, John Ide. It's IDE. And he recommended Glowsun. I was like, you should listen to, the following bands. And he's like, oh yeah, also check out Glowsun. So I was like, all right, I'll anytime, it's like in the film Ghostbusters when Bill Murray is talking to Dan Aykroyd and he says, Ray, if someone ever asks you if you're a god, you say yes. When the state when Gozer asks, "Are you gods?" Um, so when a stranger posts something on Facebook after you've made a doom metal recommendation, you check it out. That's how I roll.
Them's the
So
rule.
that's the rule. So Glowsun, I really dug. I am looking forward to listening to their other album. I really, on this track, Flower of Mist, Arrow of Time, and Shadow of Dreams, I really enjoyed. Solid instrumental jams. Um, I sort of classified it as stoner doom, but yeah, it is very psychedelic. It is psychedelic doom. So definitely, I endorse Glowsun. Check them out from France. Check out Goatess from Sweden. And then our final group, Rodeo FM from Germany, from Berlin, Germany. And Pat has been on the show before. Their lead singer and guitarist. I've spoken to him, and I've played some of their music on A Fistful of Faithful. But they had two new singles that are out: "A Curse Undone" and "Right Wing Planet." So what did you think of those jams?
Right Wing Planet title track. This is the title track from their upcoming album coming out in March. They describe themselves as Americana alternative country. I thought that was pretty interesting that a band from Germany is making Americana music. I wasn't sure what alternative country was, so I looked it up. It's described as country music performed by performers outside the mainstream of country music and is regarded as being less polished, more original, more eclectic, incorporating influences from rock, folk, blues, and punk. I'm much less familiar with this style of music, but I thought that was a perfect description. And
Yeah, I'm sorry, please.
oh, A Curse Undone. I thought this was a really nice song. I enjoyed the video for it too. I put the video for this and Right Wing Planet on our YouTube playlist for this episode. The cool thing about this video is you could see them playing each instrument and can see how the song comes together. It looks like a little insight into the recording process. I thought it was really well done, and I found it to be pretty interesting.
Yeah, when I first spoke to Pat either last year or 2 years ago and heard about the band, I was also very much taken with the style of music that they chose to play. Um, because it's again, it's my assumption is that Germany wouldn't have an Americana scene, um, but and perhaps it is a thriving scene. But what's really cool, like you had mentioned, is people hear the word country and they immediately think Nashville or they think something, like Garth Brooks, whereas it's really a much bigger genre full of different other elements. And Americana combines all of the genres you had mentioned. So for Curse Undone, I wrote, I feel like this is something Neil Young would have on one of his albums. Um, so that like you had mentioned folk, this is it's kind of got some folk, country, punk, rock and roll elements to it. This was a great easy listening jam with some wonderful harmonies. And yeah, I felt like this would be a B-side on something Neil Young would have put out in the late 70s. And then Right Wing Planet, I wrote relaxing music for everyone to enjoy. There is some fiddle in there, which I thought was really cool because it's been a long time since I've heard a song with fiddle in it. I wrote just great writing. It's really cool for me personally when I find music that I can share with everyone. I used to take it as a badge of honor to try and get people to listen to just like doom and heavy metal stuff, but it's difficult at times. A lot of music that Heather and I really love is accessible to everyone, and some of it's really inaccessible. Like you really have to be a fan. But when I discover music like Rodeo FM, where I can throw this on for my mom, I could throw this on for my brother, I could throw this on for my friends, and I really feel like everyone will enjoy it. So yeah, if you're into any of the genres we mentioned, or you're just looking for great music, then check out Rodeo FM, check out Glowsun, check out Goatess. Um, I mean, I think we both probably enjoyed all this music.
Yes.
I don't want to speak for you, but I will. And you can of course speak for yourself. So um, yeah, no, this was I'm glad you enjoyed these bands. Um, I
I
was really
did.
psyched. I was really psyched to discover Goatess and then be recommended Glowsun, and then of course Rodeo FM I was familiar with, but I'm glad they're making new music. And yeah, so thank you all. Thank you, Heather, of course.
Yes, thank you.
And we'll be back next week with episode 57. It's Heather's choice this time,
Yes.
so it'll be awesome.
Yes. Looking forward to it.
Thank you. Yeah, me too. Have a good one.
You too.